This podcast is for a mature audience and may be viewed as inappropriate or insensitive to some. Listener discretion is advised. The intention is to share conversation of like and unlike-minded individuals as they try to be the best them they can be in a life full of challenges, searching for love, acceptance, and positivity. Call 669-241-1422 and share yourself or catch up with Sweet Baby J for an anonymous face-to-face interview. Feel free to call in with questions, stories, thoughts, or anything you would love to talk about and share. Nothing is off the table when talking sweet with Sweet Baby J at 669-241-1422.
Ladies and gents and ladies, as always, you're here talking sweet with Sweet Baby J. It's a no face, no case scenario. So I will allow this wonderful guest I have here the opportunity to either share or not his identity.
It's really interesting that you're asking me to do this before I know the topic for today. But okay, I'll do it because we can edit it later. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ricky Baez from the HRTALK podcast, doing a cross show here with Sweet Baby J. And what are we doing today? What are we doing? Talking sweet? Talking sour? What kind of seasoning we got?
Let me tell you something. It's crazy because we always start with one topic and it always flows into something else. You may want to delete your name after. You never know.
Well, I'm scared now. Okay, I got you.
We'll go back. There you go. This is the thing that I see happening every day in today's society. We have people with cell phones walking around and they're catching all these Karens or Carls.
Kevin's, right?
Hey,
no,
Kevin's.
Kent's.
Yeah. I don't even know what they call the dudes,
Carls.
but hey, listen, it's crazy that I actually know someone named Karen. I had to ask her, how do you feel that your name is Karen? And she's the sweetest lady. How do you feel that your name is Karen, but yet it is aligned with something so negative?
Here's the thing. If you know somebody named Karen, because I'm with you, I have to feel for them because right now that name has a negative tone to it and is used as an insult almost. I think people named Karen today should reach out to friends named ISIS and see how they felt when this whole ISIS thing started happening back in the Gulf War.
Are there really people named ISIS?
I know 4 people named ISIS growing up.
Oh.
Seriously.
Wow.
Yes, I do. That's not a common name to you?
I know of no one named ISIS.
Really? Wow. Okay. And I completely forgot about them. I used to know them when I worked at Universal Studios back in the early 90s. And then this thing happened and ISIS formed. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, is that her? Oh no. Looks nothing like her.
How does she get so many followers?
Right.
Wow.
Well, she wanted to go to FAMU. Well, I guess that didn't work out.
Damn. But this is the thing. We have all these Karens or Kents or Kevins, what are they called out there? From an HR's perspective, how do you feel when these people end up terminated from their positions? Is it okay, or would you say from an HR perspective, the reason why I reached out to you is because of your HR Talk podcast, which is a great one, I must say.
Thank you.
Which I've been on it, which made it better. But
I was waiting for that.
How do you feel, and is that okay that when you do something in public in your personal life and then you are terminated from your position because of it?
So here's the thing. From a legal, now, first of all, I'm not an attorney. I might as well just throw that out there right now. I have been in human resources for just about 20 years. And from an HR/legal perspective, AKA this is not legal advice, you can be held accountable for whatever you do off the clock if the organization you work for is brought into whatever issue you're involved with. So in this particular scenario, so for example, the lady in New York City.
Park with the bird watcher.
In the park, yeah, that one. I forgot his name because he was a writer. What's the guy's name?
I don't know his name.
So here's why cameras are important, because she was upset because he called her out about the dog not being on a leash.
Then she commenced to strangling the dog.
Right? Poor dog. That dog's like, God, please, somebody help me.
They took the dog away from her.
As they should have. And then she said, you see, everything was all fine and dandy. And then she said that I'm going to call the cops and I'm going to tell the cops that I'm being attacked by a black man. She used those words as a weapon. People in social media found out where she works, and people in social media made that connection with the organization. So now the organization has to do something about it because they have investors, they have partners, they got customers that are like, is this who you employ? So they have to take action. So from the organization's perspective, they did the right thing because they fired her.
So the thing is that I hear this, and I hear it quite often. I also wonder how fair is it that you may have had this temporary lapse of judgment, even though that temporary lapse of judgment can affect people's lives dramatically.
Correct.
Should you be terminated? And even though I'm pretty sure she's going to fall well on her feet, because there are also those people out there that support what she's doing and will be like, those people don't like you, we'll take you.
Temporary lapse in judgment is not an excuse. Because you can get behind the wheel of a car in a temporary lapse of judgment and ruin somebody's life if you're drunk.
Very true.
So they need to be held accountable for that. You need to be held accountable not while you're in your rage or you're drunk or you're high, but you have to be held accountable for becoming drunk, becoming high, then making the decision to do what you did.
100%
right?
true. I like it. Yes.
Yeah, so, and I get what you're saying, because then the big question is, so where is your First Amendment right? Your First Amendment right of freedom of speech.
Okay, because I'm going to say, what is the First Amendment, brother? I'm not.
Your
I only
freedom
know
of speech.
Okay, I only know the second one.
Well, I mean, it's okay, so you only know the second one. You never question, okay, this is second to what?
Well, nobody's taking the guns.
No, I got you. No, so the big question becomes, and okay, where is your freedom of speech? People have this false sense of security of thinking that you get to say whatever you want and nothing happens to you. The reason that right is there is to protect you from any kind of persecution from the government. That's it.
From the government, not from your job.
Not other people.
Oh, yeah.
Not from your job.
That
right?
is true.
Because if you go to work, especially if you're in the job, you don't have any rights in there. You got to be careful what you say.
Exactly.
People need to fully understand what the First Amendment says and what it protects you from. It's from the government, not necessarily from any kind of ramification from whatever you do say. Thank you, sir. He's adjusting the mic. Appreciate that. Man, you're not only the host, you're the producer, you're the sound guy,
I do it all.
And a bartender, man. What are we drinking? I've never had this before.
That would be my version of a Moscow Mule. That is Crown Apple with ginger beer.
Hold on. Let me just set people up how we got to this place right now. Jay and I have been talking about doing this show for quite some time. So we've been trying to sync up schedules. Finally, we got to do it today. And then I asked him, so what do I bring? He sends me this picture of genuine Jamaican soft drink ginger beer. He's like, hey, bring some of this. I got all the other ingredients. Hey, other ingredients for what? I don't know what the hell this is. This looks like a weird Mountain Dew. And yeah, like you can find it at Publix. I'm like, all right, I go to Publix, I get it, I come back.
We are doing a lot of sponsoring here of companies that have yet to give me a dime.
My bad.
No. Continue, because I'm going to send them a check.
Send them a
bill. A bill, yes.
They need to send you a check.
Yes, exactly.
No, so all of a sudden, I get here, and Jay's like, hey, I'm going to make you a drink. And he brings out this mason jar. And I'm like, all right, I'm a Cracker Barrel now. With a bunch of ice. He puts some Crown Royal in it, ginger beer.
Just so you know that these mason jars were literally once pizza sauce. So,
is that right? This was like ragu and stuff?
Yes.
No artificial flavors or colors. Okay, I got you.
Well,
no,
you
Bertolli. I got it.
Okay, there you go.
More sponsors,
More
bro.
sponsors.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
I need to shut up.
It's so good.
No, and then here's the kicker. You asked me, you like blueberries? Yeah. He brings out a little baggie like his weed of blueberries that are frozen. Yes. And I'm like, this is it. So far, this has been an interesting day, and we're not even halfway through the show.
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So just so everyone knows what we're drinking for this episode, we're drinking Crown Apple with ginger beer.
It's so good.
With blueberries.
Get some more.
There you go. Knock yourself out, brother.
That's the plan.
Listen, you can finish that whole bottle.
So that's from an HR's perspective. The organization has a right to defend their brand. They do. That was your question.
Yes,
is that
100%.
Right or wrong? Yeah.
So with that being said, the defending of brands. Mm-hmm. When we're talking about defending of brands, we have the NFL.
Okay.
Who 100% tried to defend their brand when it came to Kevin Kaepernick.
Got you.
And they said, we don't like all this taking of the knee. Stop it. Kevin Kaepernick could not get a job within the NFL for the life of him. And then everything spun out of control.
Yep.
NFL decided, okay, I'm sorry. We see what you were saying.
Hold on. When did they say that?
Well, didn't they say they didn't say we're sorry?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
But they did say that they see what he was saying, and now they are fully on board with the whole. Well, let's not say fully.
Yeah.
But they are more understanding to the Black Lives Matter movement what he was trying to say. It was nothing about the flag. It was nothing about disrespecting soldiers or troops. It was really just saying Black lives matter just as well as any other life matters. So with that, I have more than one subject that I would like you to elaborate on. One, can someone in the workplace have something that says Black Lives Matter, this lives matters, blue lives matter? Is that okay in the workplace? And also, what do you think about people even having these discussions in the workplace?
So I'll tell you this. Can organizations allow associates to wear that? The answer is yes and no. Really, it depends on what the organization is trying to do. So let me ask. I'm doing a presentation on that very same thing in HR Florida next week. When is this going to air? I'm doing a presentation at HR Florida. It's called The 5 Ways How to Build an HR Team That Doesn't Suck. And that's going live on September 1st is when I go live on stage. But what I'm about to say is one of those 5 secrets that if this is going to go live before then, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to wait till afterwards, right? Okay, I got you. All right. So, one of the things is that before I even go there, let me just answer your question. The answer is yes and no. The reason is yes and no is if the organization is going to allow employees to wear any kind of t-shirts that says Black Lives Matter, they have to allow other people to wear MAGA hats. And they have to allow other people to wear, unfortunately, KKK attire. They have to. Because how can you possibly allow one group to wear things and others you can't?
Everyone's opinion has to be freely voiced.
At work, right? You have to. So that's where a lot of organizations say we're nothing. But then some organizations that are a little bit lost in the sauce, they allow Black Lives Matters and not MAGA hats, or allow MAGA hats and not Black Lives Matter.
Our good president, Donald Trump, has an issue with Goodyear, apparently.
I saw that.
Because he feels slighted the fact that they're not allowed to wear MAGA hats. But are they allowing people to wear Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter,
let's
and
talk
not
about
MAGA
that.
hats?
That was a misconception by the president, because what happened, and Goodyear came out and they rectified that.
But from what I understand, that is across the board, and that is actually quite common for companies not to allow any of these types of attire to be worn.
Correct. Yeah, 100% correct. It's normally organizations, what they allow is charity type, the Goodwill, the Heart Association, something like that. They don't allow anything political or religious or any kind of a movement like that, which I understand why they do that. But with the Goodyear situation, that was all because of a picture that came out of somebody doing a presentation in Oklahoma. In the PowerPoint, it said, what is appropriate attire? Black Lives Matters, something LGBTQ, and MAGA hats are not allowed. Look, I can't stand the president, but what's right is right, and what's fair is fair.
Did you just say what's right is white?
No, what's right is right.
Oh.
I was drinking and it came out.
I had to ask, wait a minute.
No, what's right is right.
Wait a minute.
God, what do you have in this?
Was that a Freudian slip or
it was not
a Crown Royale slip? What's right is white.
No, what's right is right. And what I mean by that is if you're going to allow one organization, you have to allow all organizations. And that's why, because of that, a lot of organizations say, no, none of it.
Totally agree.
Now, here's where I'm about to shake this up a little bit.
Please do.
Gotcha.
It's like twerking.
No, it is not like twerking.
Oh, okay.
No. You do not want to see me twerk. Nobody, folks.
No, don't want to see you twerking.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I don't want to twerk.
At all.
We're good. I don't know. 5 more of these.
Kick you off this property if you start freaking twerking, but go ahead.
It's okay. I'm going to mess up my back. Let me ask you this. Growing up in your career, Jay, how many organizations have you worked with that says, yeah, perfectly, you could talk about religion and politics at the office?
People do. It's funny. People do that.
I know they do.
But I've never actually read anything in black and white. In all honesty, I've never read the HR policies.
Well, that actually is an unwritten rule, because a lot of organizations...
That's what I thought. It's an unwritten rule.
Correct. Yeah, it is. It is, because a lot of organizations say you never talk about religion, you never talk about politics at the office, but they don't put it in an employee handbook. In the employee handbook, all they say is be respectful of one another. But I'm about to present to a room full of HR folks and attorneys to say, you know what? The reason we're having issues today with communicating, the reason we're having issues today with having a really good, healthy conflict and learn something from that healthy conflict type of conversation is because we're not talking about sensitive topics. And it's a big hoopah.
Well,
the hugger, we talked about that on the show. I remember that.
Yes, she wants to give me a hug. And from that, we actually spoke about many sensitive topics, race-related. And she's a huge Trump supporter. And my thing was that, listen, the person that you love, the person that you're saying Trump 2020, I believe that he was the one that actually really put the battery in a lot of officers' backs for police brutality.
Yeah.
They might have already been there, but he sure did wind them up when he said...
Some, not all.
Yeah, of course, not some. But don't be gentle, why be gentle?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my thing was, we had this conversation. I'm very sure it did not change her mind as for who she wants for president in 2020.
Is that your goal, to change her mind?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
My goal was for her to be more knowledgeable that, listen,
There you go.
when you see people out there protesting, it has nothing to do with who you want in office. It's no disrespect to him. It's solely saying we want to be fairly treated.
Yep.
And that's it. That's it. Now, if everyone's asses are getting whooped, well, you know what? We just know don't mess with the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's across the board. Yeah. But if one group is treated more unfairly than others, then that's an issue.
Absolutely.
And that's what I brought to her. And it doesn't only come with interacting with police. It comes to housing. It comes with jobs.
Systemic.
It's a systemic problem. Yeah. And that is why those protests are happening.
Correct. So here's the thing, Jay. It's to go back and answer your question. One of the things that I'm going to propose is that the reason we're having so many issues today and having these kinds of conversations and things happening at work and people just don't know how to deal with ideas that are completely different than the ones they grew up in is because we don't give people the venue or the opportunity to actually express their feelings and have a conversation for things that they're uncomfortable with out loud. So I'm proposing this. If you focus on hiring the right people for the right reasons, for the right jobs, and you get out of their way, let them exhibit their talents and just let them do their thing and let them talk about religion and politics, think about what that does to the organization. If I know you, this religion, and I'm something completely different, I disagree with you, but we're able to have a conversation, an amicable conversation to where I understand your point better. I'm not going to change my mind, but I understand your point better. Think about what kind of a team that builds. Not only that, what kind of a negotiator that makes you.
That can also lead to somebody getting their ass whooped in the parking lot.
If they did.
So well, this is the thing.
But that's what I'm saying. You got to hire the right people.
Two people could have two totally opposing political or religious views, and not everyone is willing to say, I see where you're coming from, though
Correct.
I don't understand. You can really have two people, let's say if it's a medical field, damn near fighting over a patient or not wanting to help someone with someone because of a prior conversation.
Yeah.
So there's a scale that needs to be balanced here.
There is, but that's what I'm saying. Folks, don't go to work tomorrow and just tell your employees, talk about everything. No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying,
who's gay?
Who's gay out here?
Who's gay, Muslim,
you know?
and what else? And loves Trump.
And
you
likes
want to talk to
ginger
that
beer.
person and likes ginger beer. Gay, loves Trump, and likes ginger beer. Bring that person. We can have a conversation with him.
That would be an awesome conversation.
Oh, man.
No, but I'm not saying go out there and do that right now. All I'm saying is if the topic comes up organically, embrace it. Embrace it, because what that does, now it's going to get heated, and that's perfectly okay, because it can get heated to the point right before it gets personal. Now, at the end of the day, that's a personal conversation.
I think there's steps that need to be taken here. I think first we need to accept people for who they are. Whether you may have an idea
True.
of what this person likes, the lifestyle they live, you need to first be accepting of the individual no matter what. And that's what I'm about. I accept everyone. You don't live with me. Whatever you like to do, you're not doing it to me or with me. So therefore, you should be free to do whatever you want. And this is just what I think.
Okay.
And I accept you for who you are. And I think more people really need to just do that. If you can have those conversations, if you accept people just for who they are as an individual.
But Jay, that's the thing. What happens is that people are not used to those conversations, and whenever somebody brings up a topic of religion, somebody brings up a political topic that's different than theirs, they see it as an attack, because they're saying how I grew up, it's wrong in your eyes, because that's how they grew up.
But that may be true. It's in your eyes, it may be wrong.
What makes it right or wrong?
I'm not saying that it is right or wrong.
Okay.
But just the way that you grew up, the way that you were raised, it may be right or wrong. Because your parents said this is right or this is wrong.
No, correct. And then if you say something different to that person, they take it as questioning their upbringing and questioning their grandma, questioning their,
And we may have to do that.
No, I know. Well, wait a minute. I'm not saying that should be the goal,
Okay.
right? I'm just letting you know
Your
how
grandma's an
people take
idiot.
Like, I mean, she did hit me in the head when I said the S word at 15 with a pan. That really did happen.
What was the S word?
That really shit.
Oh, okay.
I got to tell a story real quick, man. I'm sorry. This was back in the mid 90s, actually early 90s. I was living in Pine Hills, and my grandma was staying with us.
I hear a lot about Pine Hills, but go ahead.
I went to Evans High School, Trojans. So then Pine Hills, Florida, for those of you outside of the state, we had a house where the kitchen, it was facing the living room. So my grandma, her 4'11", she was washing dishes, and then there was a little bar in front of the sink, and then in front of the sink was a couch, and I was on the couch. My friends was over. There's like 5 of us. I was 15, and I'm watching something on HBO. And back then, remember, HBO wasn't as lucrative as it is right now. Next thing you know, I see something like, oh shit, trying to be cool in front of my boys. Next thing you know, I wake up like 5-10 minutes later seeing stars because my grandma hit me with a frying pan right in the head. She hit me hard,
See,
man.
Was your grandmother a police officer?
No, she's Puerto Rican. That's all she needs to be,
that
bro.
real quick. She forgot the chancleta. She forgot the belt. She went straight for a frying pan?
Because that's what she had on her hand because she was washing dishes, man.
I was going to say, wait, she wasn't cooking. It wasn't hot, was it?
No. She hit me so hard, man. All my friends started laughing. I felt like an idiot. And I'm like, man, her 4'11" ass is no joke, dude.
That's and you know something? I think that if more kids actually got their asses whooped, the society we live in would be a much better one.
Jay, let me tell you, there's a book I want you and everybody to read.
And when I say asses whooped for disciplinary action, not abused, there's a huge difference.
No. Agreed. There's a book I want everybody out there to read. I read it last year. It was amazing. It's called The Coddling of the American Mind. The author escapes my head right now, but
well, don't worry. As long as he send me a check.
That's right. I'm making you rich on this episode, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
And the reason I'm saying that is because in that book, they talk about how in the I generation or the millennial generation, kids grow up in this bubble and the parents prevent them from experiencing any kind of loss, any kind of anguish, any kind of emotional issue.
Dealing with pain.
Exactly. And when you coddle that American little child, when they grow up and they go into the workforce and you tell them no for the first time, they go off in a 5-year-old tantrum and they're 22 years old. And I'm seeing that today.
Or in college because they've been turned down by the females. Now they want to shoot it up.
Exactly. And that's because kids haven't experienced that kind of mental anguish and they don't know how to deal with it verbally. They haven't had that. This is their first time doing it, but now they're older, they're stronger, they have access to more dangerous things, and they do crazy things then. I'm telling you, it's an amazing book. You have to get it.
I'll look into that. It's been a thing for me, seeing things now. I was able to be told no, and I just had to accept that. Never was there a chance where I was told no, and I responded with how come or why. Because those were terms for execution.
Well, how you grew up and you was in the Army.
This was before the Army.
Oh, okay.
This is just growing up in my house.
Got you.
My mother would destroy me if I said why or how come. Well, Derek's family does it because then I'd be living with Derek's family.
That's right.
So these are the things that I feel that we are now dealing with. And how do we deal with this as a culture in the workforce? Because we here talking about the things that happen in the workforce as far as how we started with the Karens and the Kents and the Carls. These things happening. Should these people be terminated because they had this temporary bout of insanity?
Let's say you own an organization. You own a multi-million-dollar organization. You got 500 employees. Your organization is in sales, and you got some high-priced clients. You have...
terminated. Go ahead.
There you go. See, so let's say if one of your clients is responsible for 70% of your income.
Terminated.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
You're going to do what you need to do to protect your brand. So 100%. I don't blame the organization. Now, I happen to believe that lady was wrong, and I happen to be happy that she got fired for that because you can't go out there, you can't say things like that knowing what the police is going to do. If you already set up police encounter with that premise, I have an African-American guy harassing me. She knows what she knew what she was doing.
Exactly.
And she knew what she was going to do.
So two things that I want to bring up. One, taking it to the next level, there was a young lady that was riding her bicycle many years ago.
Okay.
She was riding her bicycle, I believe this is when President Trump first came into office, and as his motorcade was riding by,
she flipped him off, right?
She flipped him off.
Okay.
She was terminated from her job. Though so many now agree with her mindset. I believe she was picked up by someone else, but she was terminated for that. Do you think that was a situation in which she should have been terminated?
Here's the thing. If the organization's name was not brought into it, it's look, what you do outside of work is your business. You're off the clock.
But this is what I'm saying. Somebody else brought the organization into it in all of these situations.
And they have to respond.
Oh, okay.
See, that's my point. They have to respond. I guess the question is not whether an organization should fire, because I believe in the organization's right to do what they feel is right to protect their brand. But I think it's a question more of is people need to understand there are consequences to their actions, and they have to know what those consequences are. They have to be okay with those consequences. You can't start crying that you got fired after you did what you did. I agree with her because I can't stand the guy, but if I did it and my boss was to fire me because somebody connected the dots, that's not me.
Well, I had a gentleman come through residence, plumber, and as you know, I talk to everybody and I have free-flowing conversation in which everyone,
that you do.
in which everyone is free to express whatever mindset you hold, and I'm all in. Well, this gentleman who was a plumber came to my house and he was talking to me and he started talking about his daughter's boyfriend. And then he says, her boyfriend is colored.
Here we go.
And I'm like, you mean black? He said, yeah, he's colored. I have not heard in my life someone be described as colored.
How old's the guy?
He was older.
How much older?
I would say he was maybe about maybe 20 years older than I.
He comes from that era.
He comes from that era, but yet the way how things are now. Now, if I was to call in and say, hey, listen, I'm uncomfortable with this gentleman describing black people as colored, should he be fired?
Let me ask you this. Is colored considered a derogatory term? Because the N-word that's considered very derogatory. Is colored considered derogatory?
I really couldn't tell you, but it's just when I think of colored, I think of the signs that I saw in the past. Colored water fountain, colored so-and-so.
Segregation, I get you.
Brings it the mindset of segregation.
Okay.
Mind you, I was not alive during that time, but yet brings back, it stimulates that mindset. But yet the gentleman was actually speaking from a very pure heart. He meant no malice, but I can tell by the way that he was raised that word colored was legit. It was comfortable. But
intent is crucial. Intent is crucial. That's why I ask, how old was the guy? Because I remember having a conversation, a very good friend of mine. I'm not going to mention that person's name because they probably... No, I'm not going to do it. I went to that person's house and that person's father was there. That person's father, because I'm like you, I talk to whoever. Now, this gentleman is about 80 years old. And then he kept...
Please don't tell me he said skip.
No. No, he didn't.
Damn, he went all the way in.
No. So this gentleman owns a farm. I'm not gonna say what kind of farm, but a farm, right? And then he was telling me how
weed farm.
I forgot. No, because if I say it, it'll be really obvious on who I'm talking about.
So let's keep it going. Yeah. No face, no case.
Exactly. So this person said, and I'm gonna make the voice because he said it was so pure. He's like, I gotta. Well, first of all, I was asking him, well, what kind of labor do you have? Because farming, that's something that I'm really interested in. Because as far as the labor laws, child labor laws, farming child labor laws are the ones that allow the youngest kids ever to work.
Really?
14, 13 years old.
Didn't know that. That's why we're talking. You see, we're learning something new. So you can work on a farm at 13, 14 years old?
14 years old, yes, you can.
Wow.
Yes, you can. Because that's an old law. That you can do on a farm. Now, there's other laws around it, but you can't do that at a supermarket. You can't do that at a big chain, but farming you can, right? So I started asking how's his labor like and how many people he had, and he just said, well, there, Ricky, I gotta tell you, I had this color fella. He was such a good guy. He came over and he brought his color family over. They were so beautiful and they all worked. I gave him food. I paid him 20 years with me. Great color family. So he said that a bunch of times, right?
Now, your eyebrows are like raising up to your hairline.
I'm like, what am I listening to right now? But I saw.
Did you hear a banjo playing in the background? Like,
I was waiting for that, right? But I'm looking at the guy. There wasn't an ounce of malice in his conversation. It came from the heart. He really cared for that family. I don't know if I would have felt the same if it was a 30-year-old telling me that.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. So from this gentleman, I took no malice from what he was saying, but yet it was but for me personally, it was very weird hearing black people described as colored.
Yeah.
It was just...
Your guy, the plumber wasn't saying in a derogatory term.
He didn't really... I don't think he really liked his daughter's boyfriend, who happened to be black, as he described it, colored.
So black or not, every father would have that concern, right?
But I think his real point was that his daughter was not good. His daughter... I think he was more really trying to say that his daughter was not good. And
well, look, I don't have daughters. I got a little boy, so it's I can only speculate on what fathers of little girls would think. But I would assume that
nothing's ever good enough.
Exactly. I would assume a father would have a really unrealistic expectation on what her daughter's boyfriend would be like, right? I mean, gotta have 2 prison degrees, gotta be making 9 figures. Come on, dude. Listen,
I'm gonna go against my better judgment, and I'm gonna
just
say,
find a good guy.
I have daughters. And I have said this from the day that I found out that I was going to have daughters, that the first and the last guys that they ever bring to this house, I have my statement to them. Anything that you think you're going to do to my daughter, imagine me doing it to you first.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's how it goes down.
I don't know what the First Amendment right says, but the second one, I know that very well.
Exactly. And that's going to be a statement to follow. I don't know anything about the First Amendment, but the second one, I'm all in.
So that's why I understand that. I'll tell you this. I used to work for a really, really big restaurant company, and I mean nationwide.
You care to drop their name? You've been dropping everybody else's name. Maybe they can send us a check.
I'll say it. I used to work for Darden Restaurant.
Oh, they're really big.
They own Olive Garden. They used to own Red Lobster. So I used to be an employee relations manager for them. And trust me, I've seen, I was 1 of 10 for the entire organization.
Wow.
220,000 employees, just under 2,000 restaurants. restaurants from Alaska to Florida.
And only 10 people?
10 employee relations managers, 10 people that actually gets to do investigations, fly in for really bad investigations and do anti-union stuff. I was flying around.
When you are working, there's only 10 people for such a large industry. Are they paying top dollar?
Oh, they pay me.
Oh, okay.
They pay me. Look, I'll tell you a little story about how I felt once they laid me off later, right? But here's the thing. The reason I'm bringing that up is that in the restaurant industry, there's a huge racial issue that many people may not know. And the racial issue is surrounding about tipping. There was a huge issue with a lot of servers who really had a hard time taking in a table from African American families because of what they thought was the accepted behavior of minimized tipping.
Minimized tipping.
Yeah, meaning that they tipped too little. That was their understanding. A horrible premise. So what happened is these servers would not want to take African American tables. Not all servers, some servers. So when we started cracking down on that, saying, you take a table, this is your job, white, black, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Asian, I don't care. They got money, you serve them well, and you're going to get tipped well. But then what happens, they had code words. They said if a hostess was to seat a server, because the server doesn't know who they're going to get until the hostess says, hey, I just had table 5, that's yours. And they'll warn the server, instead of saying, hey, it's a black family, they say, hey, it's a bottom, not a top. And what they meant by that is their uniform was the pants were black and the top was white. And they'll say, hey, I just sat you at table 15, it's a top. I just sat you at table 28, it's a bottom.
If you do know that if I go someplace and I hear that, tables are going to get flipped.
Leave. Yeah, leave. Yeah, just leave. Because they're already sizing you up, saying, let's watch them, do this, do that. They're not going to tip well. It's freaking bullshit. The reason I'm bringing that up is because the word bottom, it's not derogatory, but how they used it made it derogatory, right? So that's what I'm saying. Intention is crucial. So when they said that, and I've had people fight me on it saying, but Ricky, all I said was bottom. I'm like, yes, it's how you use it, is your intent. Is the reason you're being fired right now, because you can't do that. You can't make a determination based on a race of a table what kind of a tip you're going to get. And if that's how you're going to be, you have no place to work in this company.
For me personally, I feel that I have always over-tipped because I often feel there's that idea that black people don't tip, and I've always over-tipped. I used to.
Who told you that, though? You see, you can't be surprised.
I know I over-tipped because there's been times where I would give the same amount as the bill as a tip.
Yeah, but wow. Okay, but that's not my question. You kind of stopped me there. No, my question is, you're saying you do that because you said that there's a stigma out there that black people don't tip well.
Because I know people. I speak to people, and I know there's that idea. So therefore, I speak to people. I speak to people, hey, that's how you guys are all listening to Talk is Sweet, because I speak to people. Hopefully, I'm blessing your ears with something sweet. But I speak to people. So therefore, I like to gauge the person that I'm dealing with. And especially if you're going to be the person taking my money, I want to know who I'm giving my money to.
Agreed.
If you're coming off as a real asshole, you'll get less.
There you go.
The more you're an asshole, the less you get.
Absolutely.
And there's been times where I've been questioned as a customer. I told this lady I only like white meat. She brought me chicken that had all bones in it, and I'm like, I don't want this. She told me I had to take it home because it was cooked for me. Well, I told you I only wanted white meat. She said, well, you still have to get paid for it. I was like, well, I'm not paying for it. So then she had her manager come over, and her manager was like, well, if you don't pay for it, it's going to come out of her check. I'm like, I really don't care.
How is that your problem?
It's not my problem because I told you I only like white meat. I'm not paying for it. And they tried to guilt me, so I said, you know what? Before I give them my debit card, let me go get some cash.
There you go.
I left to the penny on what the bill was. There was no tip because I don't need that. I'm here as a customer. I shouldn't be stressed out.
That's right.
I should be feeling really good. So,
Jay, don't get me started because I have a big thing on tipping right now that bro.
This is the thing.
Don't get me started on that.
I used to over tip. I've come back because.
But why?
I just feel now. I don't know why I used to over tip because I used to tip ridiculous. I think it was because I got paid. And that's back in the days when I used to cash my check and I had all this cash in hand.
1982.
Yeah, those days are over. I don't have cash. Listen, if somebody tries to rob me, stick me up, they are going to be severely pissed off.
Man, this guy had nothing but CVS receipts in his pocket. He had like 10 feet of CVS receipts.
And lotto tickets. Yo, if you get a winning lotto ticket off of me, you're good.
CVS, you're going to get a bill.
Yeah, so I don't carry cash. So now I'm actually more cognizant of what I'm tipping because I have to write it down. So now that I do that, I really tip based on the service.
Yep.
If you're standoffish, your tip will be standoffish.
That's right.
If you're really nice, your tip will be really nice. If you're flirtatious, your tip will be flirtatious. If you're flirtatious and my wife is there,
yeah, here you go to shut up.
I'm gonna give you a brave tip. Like, yo, you was really brave that she ain't slap you. I respect it. I really tip based off of the personality that I am getting.
Got you. Here's where I'm saying it's tipping with me. It's a sore subject because if people consistently overtip, I'm not saying for everybody. I think it gives people, servers, the wrong sense of entitlement of here's what I'm supposed to get. Because I've been pushed. I tip based on hustle, not service. Because I could get horrible service, but the horrible service sometimes is not the fault. Exactly. It's not the fault of the server. Because if the food's not coming out, that's not the server's fault. It's the kitchen's fault. But if the server's like, are you good? You good? And I never have to ask for a refill. My food can't be late. My food can't be wrong. But if they busted their ass, I'm going to hook them up. I'm going to hook them up, right? Now, if they're just laissez-faire, they don't want to be at work, they're having a bad day, the tip is going to reflect it.
100%. I've written letters on a tip like, do better.
Yeah.
I've wrote that, do better, and left $1 tip.
I've done that too for the people who deserve it. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. I'm not a jerk.
I'm not saying
all
that,
the way.
bro. You're a conditional jerk.
Yes, 100%.
Based on the condition.
I'm a conditional. So if you treat me like one, you're gonna be treated like one.
Absolutely.
And I actually expect the same thing. If I treat someone like someone that energy, I expect them to give me that energy.
Absolutely.
So,
bro, trust me, I come from the restaurant industry. I know how hard that is. I know that these servers are busting their ass. I also know how the back of the house works. But again, hustle, everybody out there tip based on hustle. Yeah. If your food doesn't come out on time, it's not 100% your server's fault. But if they're out there hustling, making sure you're having a good time despite what the back of the house is doing, dude, hook up your server, man.
You can
now,
tell.
If they're an asshole, let them know.
Yeah, you can tell when things are within their scope of practice,
absolutely,
what's out of their hand. But another thing I want to touch on, I actually just thought about it. I know that you are a big, yes, I gave you the rock eyebrow.
You gave me the weird eyebrow look, man. I don't know if a fly got in your eye because we're outside in front of your house, or a sweat bead just dropped in your eye. I know how that hurts.
I know that you're a big entertainer of Disney.
I love it, man.
I know.
Love it.
I just don't understand. Listen, Disney, but I know that you're a big entertainer of Disney.
Yep.
Now, we're really in unprecedented times, as everyone says.
Yep.
How do you feel going to Disney throughout this coronavirus? How do you tip servers if you're going to any restaurants in Disney, knowing that their capacity of patriotism or whatever of clientele is cut in half? Do you tip more? Do you tip less because you know that they're getting less customers? How is the whole Disney experience?
Interesting question, right? Because I tip.
I'm an interesting kind of guy. So,
I mean, look, God, here we go. I just extended the podcast by another 5 hours. Now, it comes to the question as to why I tip. Do I tip because of service, or do I tip because they're not getting enough money? What's my purpose there? I'm going to come off a little bit asshole-ish right now, so just hang tight, buckle your asshole seatbelt, and turn on your asshole airbag, because here it comes. I'm not there to make sure that they have enough money on their paycheck. That's not my goal.
Okay.
My goal is to go, I'm paying for a service, and I expect a specific kind of quality of service. I pay based on that. Now, Christmas is different, because come Christmas, I pay 200-300%. I pick one person, and I give them an extra $200-300 on a $40 tip, on a $40 bill.
Wait, $200 or $300?
Yeah, I do. We pick one person every Christmas.
Let me know what restaurant you go to. I am going to snuff the person.
No, don't
They're going to
that,
be
man.
duct taped in the back.
No, that's just something I do.
And I am going to be waiting your tape. Be like, yo, sweet baby Jay, what are you doing here?
You working at Denny's? What?
Yes.
What happened?
I'm
You
like,
were doing good. What happened to the podcast?
Would you like a refill on your iced tea, sir? Do you want an Arnold Palmer, sir? Would you like another cube of ice, sir?
No, man.
Would you like a packet of sugar, sir? Do you want a foot massage, sir?
Oh my God! Here's $200 just so you can leave me the hell alone. Holy crap!
I'm offering foot massages and everything. Are you feeling tense? Do you want your shoulders rubbed, sir?
Oh my God! This is where Robert Kraft came to. Now I know.
Sheesh.
No, bro. So no.
If I saw Robert Kraft in a Denny's,
leave. You're gonna end up in court. Leave, man. Or a witness or something.
No, that's good. He's gonna have to pay me to say the right thing.
There you go.
I'll be on court like this.
I'm like, hey Jay, how you get that Beamer?
I'll be like, Your Honor, what I was gonna tell you, and I'll look him straight in the eye. My Cash App is.
Next thing you know, I got to go because my Tesla finished charging outside.
Exactly.
To answer that question, I have to ask, are you paying because you feel bad for the server, or are you paying for the service? Because
Combination for me.
well, here's the thing. If you do because you feel bad, if you get shitty service, that means you're going to still tip over tip. Well,
No.
wait a minute. It's a combination for you said.
It's a combination.
Okay.
Meaning, I feel bad that you guys have been impacted. Listen, people that work in the restaurant industry have now been labeled as essential workers. Who would have ever thought that working at, now we're going to go into another topic. Whoever thought working at Chick-fil-A, you're an essential worker?
Who disagrees? So let me ask you this. Who disagrees that a fast food or an industry or service employee is an essential worker? Who disagrees with that?
I do not disagree.
Yeah, but people do.
And I can see how.
Right?
I can definitely see how. Too much crown apple, ginger beer, blueberries. Conversation changed real quick.
Jay, here's what college taught me. College, people think that college makes you smart. It doesn't. It makes you aware.
Well,
when I went to college, I learned that I was not as smart as I thought I was. And I felt dumber. But it's just taught me how to research more and get more and get more and get more.
Really?
That's what college taught me. Yeah, because it opens your eyes to all these other avenues that you never knew existed. Before then, I was ignorant. I'm like, I know everything I need to know. And I'm like, oh, shit, maybe I don't.
Everyone gets a different mindset, a different perspective from college because...
These days, they get coronavirus. You're right.
Well, that's one. But for me, what college taught me was it's better to cheat than repeat. These classes are expensive. Okay?
I love it.
So...
I'm a professor, right?
Listen.
Okay, I teach for Rollins College, dude.
Okay, well, I got another question for you. So what college really taught me, it's always better to cheat than repeat.
Holy
of course,
shit.
you do everything you can to get the material, understand the material, and it's not about just learning the material. You have to understand the material if you really want to succeed within that
Correct.
course and
You're
use
right.
it in a lifelong situation.
You're
but
right.
what college really taught me, these classes are too expensive to be taken over again. Do whatever it takes to get to the next level. It's better to cheat than repeat. And then on top of that, as I became a professional and I questioned people. I've questioned, did you cheat while you were in college? Every said yes.
They admitted it?
Yeah, because they don't know that I was going to say it one day on the air. But yes,
Well,
every
not only-
has said yes. Everyone
Hold on.
cheats.
I gotta ask. Did you ask them in a professional capacity? Like, were they your...
Not my personal
Okay,
thing
got
would
it.
ever say that.
Well, I'm
but
just
these are things that I've
exactly-
worked with.
Okay,
and
got
I've
it,
asked
got
them all. But these are some fine, top notch. This is the thing though. Just because you're not scholastically inclined, because you don't remember all of the material in order to get an A on a test, does not make you someone that's not good with your hands.
Can we talk about that real quick?
Sure.
Let's talk about that because, look, I teach the Masters of HR program in Orlando, Florida for Rollins College. Go Tars. And one of the things when a student asks me, no, go to, bro, it's a Harvard of the South, man. Rollins College is no joke, man. Yeah. It is it is a huge liberal arts school.
We're gonna see. When I send them that check, that invoice.
They don't got, they ain't gonna pay for that shit. I'll tell you that right now. No, but a student comes to me all the time, every semester, is like, Professor, should I go get my master's?
Your answer should always be yes.
No. My answer is, what do you want to do?
Okay, yes.
Do you want to make money or do you want to just be educated in a specific subject? They're like, I want to make money. Forget your master's, start a business.
True.
If they tell me, do I want to be just educated in any subject? Go for it. Go for your master's. I hate, God, I'm going to catch a lot of heat for this, right? I'm going to say it anyway. I said my name earlier in the podcast. Oh, well. College is not, a college degree is not the end all be all for success.
Not.
It is not. Now, contrary to what our parents told us 30 years ago, it is not. Now, our parents weren't liars. Back then, that was the only way, the golden ticket for you to get that successful career. But that was at a time where college degrees were not as mainstream as they are right now. Now, everybody and their mother has one. A bachelor's degree today is the equivalent to a high school diploma 40 years ago.
Yes.
How does that make you that much more valuable than anybody else? Supply and demand still exist.
But how about this? I have a bachelor's degree. I have an associate's. Mm-hmm. My wife hates when I say I have an associate's, a bachelor's, and a master's. She's like, if you have a bachelor's, why are you even talking about the associates?
Keep talking. Then you know what? You also have a high school diploma,
Yeah,
and you have a junior high school graduation.
Well-
Don't forget your VPK graduation. I mean, come on.
Well, the thing is that when you speak about the multiple degrees, you also show that you're someone that is on a journey. You have started and you've never stopped. But the thing about it is, I have my associates, I have my bachelor's in a specific curriculum that I've never used. I have my master's in a very specific curriculum that I've never used.
So then why did you invest so much time and effort into it?
I did with the expectation that I was going to be using them. But I do have a bachelor's and a master's. More opportunities professionally has opened up for me because I have a bachelor's and a master's, but yet I've never used those specific degrees.
Here's the thing, James. And
it shows that is an individual that is willing to succeed in life.
It depends. It depends. I know a lot of students who believe falsely that, erroneously, that if they get that master's degree, the heavens open up and these jobs are going to come. And I'm like, no, papi. That's not how it works. You got to put in the legwork. Remember, the presence or the existence of a degree with your name on it opens the door. How you use it keeps you inside that door. If you decide not to use it, you just wasted your time and everybody else's time.
Got a question for you.
Yeah.
Since you are an HR connoisseur.
That sounds weird.
Well, hey, that actually could be the next name of your business.
Hey, Ricky, what are you doing Saturday night for excitement? I'm going to read an HR book.
Well,
so
I'm going to tell you a situation that happened in my life. I think I've told you about this in the past. I wanted to go into medical device sales.
Okay.
Every application that I filled out, I put that I was an African-American male.
Okay.
And I would get no callbacks.
We did talk. I remember this,
I saw some interview in which this gentleman said how he changed that and put that he was 2 or more. And I did the same thing. And every application that I put for 2 or more, I got a callback.
Okay.
And this is with a master's degree, with a associate's, bachelor's, and master's degree. Same resume. When I put down that I was an African-American male, I got no callbacks. But when I put down that I was 2 or more and was not specific, but I wasn't lying because I am Black and Spanish, I got a call back from every company. And I at least had the opportunity to sit down for an interview. How do you feel about that? From an HR perspective, knowing that people are actually being, not just from an HR perspective, but being that we're in the times in which we hear quite a bit Black Lives Matter. But yet when an African-American male is truly honest on his application, but yet doesn't get a chance to sit. But when that same African-American male puts 2 or more, is now given the opportunity to sit for at least the opportunity to be told yay or nay for the same position. How do you feel about that?
So I'll tell you this. Let me just say this caveat. The caveat is what you're talking about, because up until 10 years ago, it was illegal to ask that question.
Do you have to answer it?
You don't have to answer it. That's right, because you could put, I wish not to disclose, and you'll be okay. The reason companies are asking that now, the reason it's okay to ask that now is for EEO purposes, for equal employment opportunity purposes. They got this thing called affirmative action. So affirmative action is, well, for those of you that don't know, affirmative action is a plan that you put out there to make sure that whatever opportunities you have out there, you make good effort to make sure everybody across all races or socioeconomic impact.
Is it a president against equal opportunity? I believe I've heard him say some things against it.
I mean, he hasn't said it like directly, but the actions leads me to believe he is 100% against it. But here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you, man. The Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, it was relevant back then. I honestly don't believe, this is me, I honestly don't believe it's relevant right now. And here's why. I think that, now, racism is still alive and well. Only difference unfortunately, only difference is up until before 2016, it was hidden. 2016, that dog whistle came in, man. That silent dog whistle, exactly how you said. Next thing you know, people got the green light. Not everybody, some people got that green light, right? So what is conflicting with what I'm about to say? What I'm about to say is that Title VII was put in place. And now Title VII, it provides protection from discrimination based on age, race, sex, national origin, religion, stuff like that, right? So back then in the early 60s, that was very necessary. It was needed because companies needed to be reminded, don't be a fucking asshole. Hire people, right? Hire people for what they bring to the table. But as generations go on, that racism block is chipped away, but it's not 100% gone. One great example, the baker issue, or I think it was Seattle. Yeah, no, a baker, somebody who's baking a cake.
Oh, okay.
This gay couple went into this bake, and because this bakery don't believe in
gay marriage,
and gay marriage, just said absolutely not. We're not going to do it for you. They took it to court. It became this big thing. My thing is, go somewhere else. Why would you want to force that company to make you a cake?
Absolutely, there is no case and scenario which they'll bake my cake.
But why?
Because I don't know what pubic hair is all in my cake.
No shit. Exactly. So bro, that's what I'm saying.
But at the same time, you want everybody to know Toe the line, brother. Times have changed. Nobody's willing to deal with your BS. So as you're saying this,
You can't change your mind, man.
no, but as you're saying this, the twerking starts happening in my head. You know, I see Cardi B twerking in
Bro, why do you have to find a situation to bring that term into it, man?
Well, this is
That's
the
the
thing.
second time in this podcast you bring up twerking, man.
That's what gets my brain moving. I'm thinking about it now. There is the race issue, but now there is, I don't know quite how to explain it, whether it be the sex issue or gender. I don't know.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
I'm sorry, dude. Do you want to know if somebody's racist or not?
Do I want to know? Honestly, I would prefer.
Right? Thank you.
I would prefer.
Thank you. Why?
I would prefer to know if someone's racist, because if I know that they're racist, I want to be closer to that person.
You want to be what?
I want to be closer to that person.
Closer?
I want to be closer to that
Ooh,
person.
I want to hear this. Talk to me.
I want to be closer to that person because I want them to see the cloth of the person that in which they don't like strictly because I'm black. I want them to see, hey, listen, I'm a good guy. Now, I'm not going to change who I am, but I want them to come to my house for a barbecue, brother. Come by. See how my family is. Don't come with any BS because you might not leave the same. Come to my house for a barbecue. Would I go to their house? Probably not, because I don't know what's going to happen. But
yeah.
I want them to know, listen, my whole intention is to let them, I'm no different than you, playboy. Sit down
Gotcha,
with your
gotcha.
BS. Sit down with your BS.
I get that.
Of the stuff
Okay.
that you were taught.
I get that.
But in the same way, the reason why I was saying that, and also, what do they say? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Okay, I get that. So I get that piece. And I'm bringing that up because I had this conversation with my students a couple of years ago. And they were upset because I start class every class. I start with, hey, just bring up a topic about what happened at work so we can talk about it. And one of the persons talked about somebody who started talking about the N-word and they don't like black people, blah, 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 blah.
Black on black crime, this is a big one. Everyone talks about black on black crime. Why? I don't know. Black on black crime, I believe, is just a situation in which because crime is going to take place with the people that are nearest to you.
Regardless. I never understood that. So where's Puerto Rican and Puerto Rican crime? Where's white on white crime? It's
Colombian
the
on
same shit.
Colombian
It's
crime.
the same shit.
Yeah, like it's because your neighbor pissed you off
Here's the
and you
thing.
got into it. Like it's not really black on black crime is not really a thing.
It's not.
Because the person is just nearest to you. You're gonna have situations with the person that is nearest to you.
Here's the thing. Race on same race crime, the only thing it shows is that how undiverse we are.
Yes,
That's it.
I do agree.
That is it, man.
I do agree.
No, so going back to what we were saying, it's
There are all these laws put in place because of racial issues or religious issues. But now, in 2020 and prior, we have other issues for gay rights.
okay. What
And
about
what
it?
about them is right. Now, there are gay people in every race, every religion.
True.
It's a preference on who they love as an individual. But because you love the same sex, should you be casted out? Should you not receive health care? Should you receive or not receive anything that anyone heterosexual receives? I don't think so.
Wait, you don't think they should receive it?
No. I think they should receive it. I don't think they should not receive it.
Got you. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm
Yeah,
with you. Okay.
they because the thing is that it's a human, and everything that we're talking about right now, if you ask me, I sound a little country right now, it's not a black, white, it's not a gay, straight, it's human rights.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, why should someone not get a job because they're black? Why should someone not get a job because they're gay? It's a human rights issue.
It really is. I think that all comes back. Nobody's
Black
born
lives,
racist.
Black Lives Matter. It's not a black issue. It's a human rights issue. It's a human rights issue. That's what it's all about.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Seriously, go ahead.
It's Black Lives Matter is a human rights issue. We should all be treated across the board. So when people say, no, black lives don't, it's not that a Black Lives Matter, it's all lives matter. All lives are not the ones that are being targeted.
No, correct. Yeah, it's all about equality.
Yes.
Equality.
Meaning it's a
Yeah, I
human
get it.
rights
I get you.
issue.
I get you. Because I do believe all lives matters, but now I hear what you're saying. You're saying that, okay, we're not saying that some lives don't matter. We're saying that we're shining a light on an area where it's perceived for us to believe that it doesn't matter, so we want to bring it up to the same standard as everybody else.
You see videos of nature. Someone's in a safari, they're taking pictures of video, and they see a zebra get attacked by a lion.
Okay.
The zebra is getting killed by this lion. And you're like, oh my gosh, poor zebra. Do you at that point, and you say, you know,
Zebra lives matter.
You say the zebra lives matter. Do you say, and the next person says, lions matter too? What do you
Dude, hold up now.
No,
we can't compare animals to human beings, though, man.
Why not?
Because they're wild. That is what they're designed to do. Human beings got to be more civilized.
Exactly the point.
Yeah.
Human beings have to be more civilized, but
Yes.
yet we're acting like animals.
I hear you. I got you.
We're acting
okay,
like
I got
animals.
You. I got you. Okay, I'm with you.
So everybody out there in the jungle, in the wild, all those animals matter. when you see a zebra gets killed, you feel so much compassion for the zebra.
I don't, but okay. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, bro. It's lions gotta eat.
Well, okay, the lions gotta eat, so that's a case of survival. But when an officer...
What do zebras eat?
I really don't know.
I'm sure they eat other kinds of meat. Nobody cares about that meat. Nobody cares about that squirrel that zebra's eating.
But pretty sure zebras eat
grass. I think so. I don't know, man. Look, if there's a zebra expert in Orlando, call us.
If a zebra was to come and eat my plants right now, I'm sorry. That zebra's life's not going to matter. I paid a lot of money for these plants.
No. I'm going inside because I'm like, if there's a zebra here, a lion is not far behind. I'm going inside the house.
Very true. But this is the thing.
I'm looking around for a zebra.
We're actually acting very primitive in our mindsets when
we are
not respecting the fact that Black lives do matter. And Black Lives Matter is not saying that Black Lives matter over any other. It's a matter of, it's a human rights issue in which all lives matter, but yet there's one that's being targeted over the others.
Agreed. I'm with you. Look, we live in a country, Jay, that does not reward intelligence. We live in a country that...
Are you talking about the presidency?
No.
Oh, okay, I was just checking.
Well, almost. I don't care how hard you work, how intelligent you are. If you're not popular, you're not getting anywhere. This country pays for attention. They do. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how dumb you are. What matters is how many people have eyes on you. Think of the Kardashians. Think about all these other people that are millionaires.
Don't make me think of the Kardashians.
I'm just saying, you see, there you go.
Oh, my God.
There you go.
I don't see how people hate the Kardashians. I mean, Kim Kardashian does a fine job as a wife. I'm sorry. She did a fine job as a wife.
But okay, fine.
Well, you know, and we're actually even going into another topic. Kim Kardashian, who's the wife of superstar Kanye.
Kanye, yeah.
Who is apparently, before us all, is going through a mental issue.
I feel bad for him.
He's going through a mental issue.
I feel bad for him, man. I know people give him a hard time. I know he threw his hat in the ring to be the president. And look, 3 years ago, I joked around. I joked around on Facebook. And 3 years ago, I said, Trump is making such a mockery of the White House that I tell you what, I'll vote for Kanye West, you know, if we could go and check it out. He threw his hat in the ring. But I was just kidding.
But he's a meltdown from an HR perspective. If someone is having a meltdown as an employee, they're having a meltdown. How do you handle that from an HR perspective?
I've actually had that happen before because normally right now I do HR for a call center. And if people do have a meltdown, it's the worst thing you want to do is make it worse.
Because they're human.
Exactly.
This is a human issue.
This happens.
It's all human rights.
So here's the thing. I told my students and my team, never ever forget of the first word in your title. Human Resources Generalist. Human Resources Specialist, Human Resources Admin, Human Resources Director. The human part, you can't forget about that shit. So if somebody goes off on the call center floor, regardless of how many customers heard it, if you could truly see they're just losing it, pull them aside, calm them down, get them a soda. Don't just send them home immediately. Talk to them. You don't know what the fuck they're going through. You don't know if they was just about to shoot up a place and they decided to go off.
Oh, yeah.
Right? See,
are you allowed to pat that person down?
No. No, you can't do that, right? But if you pull them aside, I'm like, say, hey, John, what's going on?
He grabbed my butt.
Yeah. So just pull them aside. I'm like, bro, you good? You okay? What's going on? Let's have a conversation. Calm down. I'm going to lose my fucking job. No, bro, calm down. Let's talk. Because in my mind, yeah, they are. Yeah. But right now, I'm focusing on them as a human being. Too many people don't go that route. They focus on the book and they focus on what they need to do to that person, and they make shit worse. That's why people leave, go get a gun in Florida. They go to a gun show. They go ahead and get a gun and come back and do something crazy. Why? Because they weren't treated properly.
So next level, if the person's spouse going through a meltdown and brings that energy to their job, how do you handle that?
Hey, what's going on? Let's have a conversation. Because too many leaders today focus too much on moving the needle from A to B in numbers and not enough on the person who's making that needle move. So if somebody was knocking it out of the park for the past year, next thing you know, for the past 2 months, they haven't been doing it, the worst thing you can do is say, what the fuck is wrong with you, John? How come your numbers are scaling down? Instead, pull them aside, take them to Dunkin' Donuts, take them somewhere, have a conversation. Bro, you good? What's going on? The past year, you were employee of the year. Now things are dropping. Everything okay at home? You focus on the human aspect of it? Bro.
No, but I'm saying if that person's spouse is bringing that energy to their job.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's say the husband or wife is coming to, because I've had a situation at one of my past places of work in which was coming to the job that thought that was messing around with somebody, mental issues, PTSD and everything, and and thought that he was being asked.
He worked there too?
He worked there.
Okay.
And then was coming to the job and was bringing this.
Got it.
So how do you handle that? He was actually eventually terminated. They tried to talk, but it was actually ended up terminated.
So here's the thing. So I would pull aside and I'm like, hey, look, I don't want to dip into your personal stuff, but your personal stuff is dipping into work. You tell me what you need to help us quell this, because I get it. It's an issue, and I get it. We have a little control about what happens outside of work. You can't control. You cannot let him or her dictate what's going to happen to you here at work. Because here's why. If somebody has a soft heart and they say, you can't control it, there's nothing we can do, I'm so sorry. The person comes in, the spouse, and just shoots everybody. You've known that person was capable of doing such an act. Now you're guilty of negligent retention. Now you're guilty of knowing what was supposed to happen and they didn't take the proper precautions. At the end of the day, it is your responsibility as a leader and as a human resources professional to make sure everybody's safe at work. And you knew about this and you didn't call the cops, you didn't file a claim, now you're in trouble. So what I would do, if he got fired, I would assume, I don't know what happened there, is that HR already reached out and they said, you got to do something about this. If you don't, we will. And nothing happened. I feel bad, right? If fired, but that's how I would handle it because I'm responsible for everybody else at work.
From my understanding, that's exactly how it went.
See, that's sad. That's sad because you can't control. See, that's messed up, man. Because no, so cost job.
Yes, 100%.
Now you can't blame the organization because they're protecting everybody else at work. I mean, so you can't blame them. If you didn't do anything, you run the risk of being sued because you didn't do enough to protect people at work. So I feel bad based on what you're telling me, but the organization has to do something. They just have to, bro.
Ricky, I'm gonna have to say I really appreciate you for bringing all this.
I want more of this ginger beer, man, because this is good, man.
I tell you, ladies and gents, Crown Apple ginger beer with some blueberries. It brings it all out.
All right, this is just a pre-show, right? We got another 5-hour show coming up.
Man, listen, I got things to do. Listen, ladies and gents, you are here talking sweet with Sweet Baby J. I appreciate you all for checking in. We are loving the feedback that we're getting. We are loving the fact that we're having all these great hosts. My man Ricky right here shared everything from an HR perspective, from different points of view, different scenarios. And tune in. What's your podcast?
HRTALK. The podcast is called HRTALK. Go to HRTalkPodcast.com or biasco.com. My boy JC and I, we've been doing that for 2 years. He's the broadcast guy. I'm the HR guy.
JC's a good dude, too.
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, all we do is talk about HR issues, not from a legal perspective, but from a down-home human being perspective.
Sounds boring. No, I got to admit, it sounds boring when you say, hey, all we talk about is HR, but it's not boring at all.
It's not what you think it is, man.
Not at all.
We drink vodka while we do it.
It's a lot more fun than anyone can ever imagine. And I advise you guys.
That's right, man.
Check it out.
HRTalkPodcast.com. Come check us out.
It's a good deal, ladies and gents. It's a really good deal. And I'm going to have to say on that note, I appreciate you for talking sweet here with Sweet Baby J.
I got you, bro.
And my man Ricky. Hey.
Yeah, man, right here.
There you go. We're going to cheers to this.
That
was like a friggin' Corona cheer.
Whoa.
But listen, ladies and gents, be the best you that you can be. Stay beautiful. And I appreciate you for checking in. It's really important.
I'm going to Disney today.
Damn, I'm jealous.
Yes. Animal Kingdom, brother.
Holla. Ladies and gents, as my man Ricky goes to an Animal Kingdom. You guys go do what you got to do and be the best you that you can be. Stay safe. Stay beautiful. Have a great one.
Later.